Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating, yes, I use the word dissertating again, about the Saturn in Scorpio retrograde period. And it started on June 15th, 2015. Yes, I'm a little late. I do apologize for that. And it will stay in retrograde until August 2nd, 2015. Now, Saturn retrograde in general, collectively for people, regardless of sign, could be, we look at it as about redefinition, reevaluation of things. We really, I see it as a little bit more introspective and reflective, and it's about going back to something. And sometimes with this position, the one positive could be, it could be a positive and a negative, is that when Saturn is retrograde, a person might not always have the best conception of their limitations, and they might, in restrictions, and they may take on maybe a surfeit or overabundance of responsibilities because they may not, they may think that they're capable of handling more responsibilities than what they really are. But look at this as far as Saturn in Scorpio retrograde. This could be about going, and I guess you could say in a backwards motion, going in reverse and perhaps reevaluating things that might be connected, perhaps with sex or sexual partner. It could be matters connected with death, with transformation, with mysteries. Look at this, and maybe I can use an example. Now, let's say, as far as the mystery aspect goes, let's say hypothetically somebody has Saturn Scorpio retrograde and it's transiting their third house. Well, this could, since the third house involves short journeys, and this could involve a vehicle. Let's say if the person has a vehicle, maybe it's possible something went wrong with this person's car, and whether it was a foreign substance in the intake manifold or whatever it might be, perhaps there was a mystery that confounded the person at one point, and they kind of gave up on it for a while and didn't really, maybe they procrastinated in trying to resolve the conundrum, so to speak. Saturn in Scorpio retrograde may give this person this feeling to go back and re-examine this and be able to maybe deduce what was wrong with the vehicle. Or for another example, let's say a computer has to do with often with day-to-day communications, which is connected with the third house. Now, it could be something where somebody has, let's say they have a computer and they have a malicious virus inhabited it and corrupted the system. Well, maybe this person might have gone stagnant for some time and maybe didn't really resolve the issue with the computer because they didn't really understand what happened to it and why it was acting a certain way. But Saturn in Scorpio, on the positive side, going retro, may give this person more of an inkling to go back and re-examine things in connection with the mystery and finally deduce it, perhaps. Let's take another example. Let's say it's someone has Saturn in Scorpio in retrograde transiting their sixth house of health. Well, there may have been, say, a health-related matter that might have been an enigma to somebody, and they really weren't, they didn't really look thoroughly into it and really resolve it and go to the appropriate doctor or physician or what have you. But Saturn in Scorpio retrograde can give that person that opportunity, perhaps to go back and to reevaluate and really look back and maybe come up with the resolution to this health issue. So those are some things to look at. And also, Scorpio is a sign connected with transformation and regeneration. So as far as we'll look at this now, if somebody, let's use the sixth house again. Now, let's say somebody at one point in time may have started some health regime in order to quote-unquote transform maybe their health and make their physical body better, or maybe, as far as Scorpio goes, could be more sexually appealing even perhaps to others. for these reasons, perhaps. Now, let's say Saturn in Scorpio is retrograde and it's transiting someone's sixth house. Now, this could be somebody that might continue this transformation, so to speak, that might have been left, that might have been paused temporarily, because Saturn retrograde is often about consummating and finishing tasks that were left unfinished or uncompleted. And Saturn retrograde can give this person the opportunity to finally perhaps consummate these things and be able to complete these tasks that were not completed previously. So Saturn retrograde is not always, it's not always bad, but I think it's a little bit more reflective and introspective, and it's about redefinition and perhaps reevaluation as well. Right now, I have Saturn, of course, it's Saturn in Scorpio, is transiting my seventh house of relationships. Now, as many of you know, of course, and what I'm doing now, it's connected with this. I do the astrology videos, and the seventh house is connected with the public. And this could be a period for me where maybe I'm looking at perhaps some of the relationships I formed online, friendships, of course, with people that are in this astrology sphere, and maybe I'm doing some redefinition and reevaluation with it. Perhaps I may wind up rekindling an old relationship or friend or what have you that was connected or had an affinity for astrology. So those are some things that may be happening. And also it's conjuncting my natal Neptune, so perhaps the Saturn just by itself, regardless of retro or even though it's retro, regardless of retro or direct, conjoining my Neptune may give me it may not necessarily be some kind of limitation on dreams and ideals, but it may be adding some discipline and structure to it. And these are some things to consider when you have Saturn retrograde in your natal chart, and I mean not in your natal chart, if you're talking about Saturn and Scorpio transiting your natal chart, and some of the things you might look for. And the house, of course, is very important in terms of how maybe it may be impacting you, and in terms of maybe perhaps a mystery you may be trying to perhaps resolve that conundrum, and it may very well be related to something in that particular house. So those are some things obviously to look at. Saturn in Scorpio retro transit. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the Saturn in Scorpio retrograde transit from June 15th, 2015 till August 2nd, 2015. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.